Hanju ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashatar Shishimad Bhakti Narayan Gosvāmī Śrīla Gurudev ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashatar Shishimad Bhakti Viśvanātha Vaman Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashatar Shishimad Bhakti Vedanta Swami Mahārāja Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashatar Shishimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Gosvāmī Mahārāja ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashatar Shishimad Bhakti Santa Saraswati Gosvāmī Prabhupada ki jai. Nityal Pravishtam Mahā-Bhagavat Śrīla Gokṣaras Babaji Mahārāja ki jai. Nityal Pravishta Śrīla Satchidananda Bhakti Vinod Ṭhākura ki jai. Nityal Pravishta Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Śrīla Jagannath Babaji Mahārāja ki jai. Shri Rupa Nagupariya Guru Varga ki jai. Shri Rupa Santan Bhatta Raghunath Shri Jiva Gopal Bhatta Dashagunath Shāra Gosvāmī Prabhu ki jai. Shri Sarup Damodar Rai Ramanandari Shri Gaur Parshad ki jai. Lahaidas Thakur ki jai. Prem se ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Gaur Bhakta ki jai. Shri Kshetra Mandala Gaur Mandala Vraja Mandala Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Sarva Abhishta Pradata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai. Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund ki jai. Shri Amuna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai. Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai. Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai. Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai. Shri Gopeshwar Dev ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrind ki jai. Shri Śrīvāsa Ṭhākura ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Grantaraj Śrīmad ki jai. Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Anande Hari 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 Om. The streaming is chopping. Dang it. Okay. Then maybe I should go to my room and get my... I think I'm going to go to my room and get... I have another Wi-Fi connection. So just bear with me. We'll do the Mangalacharan and I'll be in my room by the end of it. Om Jnanatirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shri Śrīmad Bhakti Vedanta Narayaniti Namine. That's pretty bad, huh? Okay. Okay. How come? What happened to it? I just wrote something. Anyways, just wait 1 minute and I'm gonna change my Wi-Fi connection. In the meantime, we'll do Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Radhaya Priyaya Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Vedanta Swamini Namine Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Titanam Pavanebhyo Vebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Mahavapradayate Aya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namaha. Gurave Goya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Yang Pravrajantam Anupetam Apeta Krityam Taipaya no Virahaka Tada Ajhava Putreti tanmayataya taravo vinidus. Tang sarvabhuta hridayam munimanatosmi. Narayanam namaskritya narang chaiva narottamam. Devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam udirayet. Shrinvatang svakata Krishna punya shravana kirtana hridantasto yabhadrani vidunoti suritsatam. Nashta praishvavadrishu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. Tavai vasmi na jivami tvaya vina hete vigyaya devi tvam nayamam charanantikam bhaktya vihina aparada lakshay kshiptashtakamaditaranga madhe kripa mai tvam sharanam prapana vrinde namaste charanaravindam. Pajashi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, everybody. Thanks for bearing with me there. Bearing with the connection. Let me just check the... I'm going to change it right now, but I might miss all these. Pranams Indira Mataji, Ganga Mataji, Gargaraj Ji, Satya Mataji, Raseshwari Mataji. Oh, it's better. Interesting. I didn't do anything. I didn't change the connection. Should I still try to change the connection, or is it good? Okay, maybe the signal is just better in my room. That's interesting. All right. Haribo Sudevi Didi. All right, so if it gets bad again, then I'm ready to switch over to this connection here. I have two phones here now. One's Geo, one's Airtel. Okay, cool. It is good. That's great. I just need to turn on the fan. It's really hot here. 1 second. Okay, so I thought we could start off reading the glories of Śrīvāsa Ṭhākura by Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja. And then, it's just a short one. Okay, so today is the disappearance day of Śrīvāsa Ṭhākura. The following is an excerpt of a Bhav Anuvad of the kathā given by Śrīla Bhakti Vijñāna Bhāratī Gosvāmī Mahārāja on September 5th, 2009. Rising above duality. Those who are not attached to the material world do not get disturbed. One night, while Mahaprabhu was dancing in kirtan at Śrīvāsa Pandit's house, Śrīvāsa's son died. But he did not feel any sorrow. Instead, he just wanted to ensure that this would not disturb the dancing of the Lord. So Śrīvāsa Pandit warned his wife and other family members not to cause any commotion by crying aloud, and requested the other devotees to not inform Mahaprabhu about the death of his son. Mahaprabhu perceived it in his heart, yet to teach the people of this world from the incident, he said, "Today I am not feeling the same bliss in kirtan. What has happened? Has any sad event taken place here?" Shiva said, "What possible unhappiness could there be in that person's house where your divinely blissful countenance is seen? My Lord, you are yourself all auspicious. Wherever you are present, no sorrow can be found anywhere." Then the other devotee said, Prabhu, Śrīvasa's son has left his body. Mahaprabhu asked, why did nobody inform me? They replied, since this news would have been an obstacle in your kirtan, Paṇḍitaji forbade us from telling you. Then Mahaprabhu became teary-eyed and said, Mahaprabhu said, Śrīvāsa has so much love for me. He didn't even feel lamentation at the death of his son. How can I abandon his association? He thought, I was planning to leave all my devotees and take sannyas. How can I do this now? Then Mahaprabhu went near Śrīvāsa Pandit's son's body, touched it, and asked, why have you gone away and left Śrīvāsa's house? The boy then spoke, Prabhu, this is an act of your providence. By great fortune, I was given birth in a devotee's house, and I got a chance to hear kathā and kirtan. But due to my destiny, I have to leave now. This is what has been sanctioned by you. The boy was not at all sad. He was nonchalant. He just left. When you travel in a train, you may have a great time with co-passengers in the train. But when their station comes, some of the co-passengers may get down. Do they cry? No. They know they have to leave even though they were enjoying your company. So we also know that we have to leave this world sometime or the other. So then what is the sorrow of fear in this? There should be no fear. Well, that was very brief. Okay, why don't we'll go to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam now. Hari Bol Mohar Prabhu, Hare Krishna, and Kishore Prabhu. So I think maybe we can, oops, I left that on the screen. I think we can go to Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam now, and then if there's extra time at the end, we can read more about Śrīvāsa Pandit. Maybe we could even do a kirtan for him. There are two nice kirtans about Śrīvāsa Pandit. So yesterday was the big day. We actually concluded Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, spoken by Shukadeva Gosvāmī. And then we started the first chapter of, chapter 5, first verse. So, and then we read, yesterday was like more than half an hour, longer than half an hour, I think it was like 35 minutes or something. We were just reading this one commentary on verse 1. Yeah, it's a very long commentary. But let's just recap it a little bit. Or actually, maybe we can recap the previous chapter and then go over this commentary. Let's do that. Okay, so Bhagavat Pravaha. 4 types. So we read about the 4 types of destruction. First, let's just see the topics that we went through from the beginning. Having described the pastimes of the Supreme Lord Krishna, Shukadeva Goswami began to describe the degraded dynasties of Kali Yuga. He predicted the qualities and activities of future kings of this planet. The kings of Kali Yuga will be barbarians in the guise of kings. They will murder the helpless. They'll covet the wives and property of other men. They'll be erratic in their moods, short-lived, characterless, and covered by passion and ignorance. The citizens will imitate the character, behavior, and speech of their rulers. Harassed by their leaders and by each other, they will suffer ruination. And then we hear more about the degraded age of Kali. And then we read about from the Iron Age to the Golden Age. We heard about how Kali Yuga will end and Satya Yuga will begin. So Lord Vishnu will appear as Kalki, and he'll ride on his horse Devadatta and kill all the imposter kings at the end of Kali Yuga. And then those breezes coming from his body will make the minds of the people transcendently pure. And that will mark the beginning of the next Satya Yuga. Inspired by the Lord from within their hearts, the citizens will abundantly repopulate the earth. And then he talks about the dynasties that will come. And then we went through the Song of the Earth. Lamenting for the foolishness of the kings who were bent upon conquering her, Mother Earth had sung a song called the Bhumi Gita. She sarcastically said, "Great kings who are actually playthings of death, who cannot even subdue their 6 internal enemies. They imagine that they'll go on to conquer all of me and all my oceans. Seeing their false hopes, I can simply laugh, for eventually they all must leave this planet as the great kings of the past had to." And then we read about the 4 yugas. Shukadeva Goswami describes the qualities of the different yugas, and we finally came to the last Kali Yuga, which, even though it's so degraded, there's one good quality in Kali Yuga, and that is, it's the quality that makes Kali Yuga the best yuga, because simply by chanting Harinam, by Nam Sankirtan, one can attain everything that you attain in the other yugas. And so that actually makes Kali the most fortunate yuga, even though it's so degraded, because it's so easy to attain perfection in this Kali Yuga. Then yesterday we read we finished the chapter on the 4 types of destruction. Shukadeva Goswami described the 4 types of pralay, or destruction. There's Naimittika pralay, that's the cyclic annihilation. A kalpa, or 1 day of Lord Brahma, has 1,000 yuga cycles. The night is also of the same duration. During the night, Brahma sleeps and Garbhodakshai Vishnu absorbs the entire universe within himself. At that time, all 3 worlds are destroyed. This is called the cyclic annihilation. Then there's the prakritika pralay. That's the elemental annihilation. At the end of the life of Brahma, all the ingredients of the material creation dismantle, annihilating the entire universe. There'll be no rains for 100 years. Starving people will consume one another, and gradually everybody will be destroyed. The sun will drink up the water of the ocean. The fire of annihilation emanated from the mouth of Lord Sankarshan, and that will burn the entire universe, scorching the lifeless cosmic shell. The universal sphere then looks like a burning ball of cow dung. Wind will blow for more than 100 years, and the sky, covered with dust, will turn gray. Clouds of devastation pouring rain for 100 years will make the entire planet universal shell into a single cosmic ocean. Each subtler element will rob the unique quality of the grosser element, dissolving the grosser element into itself. Water will rob the earth of its unique quality of fragrance and dissolve the earth. Similarly, all the elements are dissolved into false ego into the Mahatattva, and the Mahatattva into the unmanifest. This is called elemental annihilation, in which all the material elements unmanifest in a way reverse to the process of their manifestation during the first creation. Okay, so what was the first one? Was Naimittika pralay, which is every day of Brahma. Then there's Prakritika pralay, the elemental annihilation at the end of Brahma's life. And now the third is Atyantika pralay, ultimate annihilation. When the false ego of the living entity is cut off by the sword of discriminating knowledge, and one has developed realization of the Supreme Lord, one is liberated from this material realm. That is called the ultimate annihilation of the material existence for that living being. Okay, so the liberation is Atyantika pralay, ultimate annihilation of the false ego. And then there's Nitya pralay, or constant annihilation. By the influence of time, all material objects or bodies are constantly and imperceptibly deteriorating. Although this deterioration is not visible, one can perceive it at intervals of time. This is called constant annihilation, right? Like you're a child, and then you become a youth, and then you become a teenager, and then you become a young adult, and then you become, and so there's constant annihilation going on. It's just happening at such a slow pace that we don't actually perceive it happening. And then finally we leave this body. That's another constant annihilation. How many times are we leaving our bodies? So that's nitya pralaya. Then departure of the devoted emperor. By describing the 4 types of annihilation just before the death of Parikshit, Shukadeva Goswami indicated to him that his death was so insignificant compared to the enormous destruction that is happening that happens in this world, both on a cosmic and minute scale. Shukadeva then concluded, cultivation of taste for hearing the Lord's pastimes is the only boat to cross the material ocean. Give up the mentality that you are going to die. You are eternal, never to be destroyed. Constantly meditating on the Lord, consider how you are different from the body and non-different from the Supreme Lord in quality. No agent of death can truly touch you. So this is what we're reading today. Hari Bol, Pradyumna Prabhu, and Mantaramurti Mataji, and Rukmini Didi, and Shamapriya Didi. Hari Bol, everybody. So, we actually completed, in a way, we completed Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam yesterday. Because, yeah, that's the end of but then there's this chapter. Let's see the, okay, let's just read verse 1, chapter 5, realization of the Atma. Shukadeva Goswami said, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam describes the Supreme Lord, the soul of the universe, from whose satisfaction Brahma is born, and from whose anger Rudra takes birth. So, in the Sarartha-darsini commentary by Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Thakur, which we read yesterday, Śrīla Viśvanātha Cakravartī Thakur says that in the 5th chapter, in this chapter, Shukadeva teaches Parikshit about Brahman in order to hide the real meaning of Bhagavatam. Because, and then we read about how, having completed the Bhagavatam, Shukadeva considered the matter within himself. It is improper that I have disclosed from my heart the great jewel among secrets and made it visible to all people. The Lord has said that this Bhakti is the king of knowledge and the king of secrets, Raja Vidya, Raja Guhyam. In this scripture, I have explicitly revealed out of great mercy to Parikshit a subject which is the most secret. It's the Sarva Guhyatamam. I have shown Bhakti to award all results, both by negative and positive statements. And so then Viśvanātha Cakravartī Thakur goes, karma which bestows sarga is definitely to be rejected. And also, gyan, which bestows liberation, is to be rejected. And then he gives evidence. And evidence how gyan without bhakti will not produce liberation from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, these famous verses. Since one attains liberation by bhakti without performance of gyan, gyan is not the exclusive process for attaining liberation. So, anyways, in all these verses, he's explaining how bhakti is supreme, and all the different processes, even if you want to attain gyan or karma, it's dependent on bhakti to attain perfection. There's no better process for liberation than bhakti. Gyan is not the best process for liberation. Bhakti is. Okay, so all these glories of bhakti, how bhakti is supreme. So now, since I have revealed the greatest secret, I have become not so dear to the Lord. Why? Because the Lord likes things to be. See, look. However, the authority of the words of other sages is relative, but the authority of my words is absolute. Okay. However, let those words be famous everywhere, even in Vaikuntha. But then the Lord says, however, the Lord prefers some matters to be secret. And there's this verse from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Veda Brahmatma Vishayas. The Vedas, divided into 3 divisions, ultimately reveal the living entity as pure spirit soul. The Vedic seers and mantras, however, express their meaning secretly, and I am also pleased by hiding those descriptions. Okay, so the Lord is pleased by these things being kept secret, by these things being hidden. So Shukadeva Goswami thinks, since I have revealed the greatest secret, I have become not so dear to the Lord. What shall I do now? I have completed writing the Purana. Let that be. Now I will try to hide the great secret of bhakti. Someone may impetuously show off a great secret jewel to all people, and then, considering the matter, hide it in a box and place it in his treasure vault. He then shows off another jewel, praising this other jewel, which is not so great, as the ultimate jewel. Thus, I will now teach Gyan to King Parikshit, so that people will think, Shukadeva is teaching Parikshit Gyan. By the influence of the Lord's Maya, they will think that Gyan is ultimate and Bhakti is only a means to attain Gyan. The Lord sometimes appears before the perfected devotees and tests them by offering them liberation. I will test the development of Bhakti in my disciple Parikshit by teaching him Gyan. The wise should know that this test is for the purpose of announcing to the world the steadiness of Parikshit's Bhakti. The ignorant people will explain that the result of bhakti and gyan is only liberation. But one should understand that this is not my intention, because I have said that compared to liberation, bhakti is much greater. And he gives that verse. One should not fear that Parikshit will attain impersonal liberation by the gyan I will teach. Sutta, my disciple, has understood my intentions, and Sutta will later express them. Because, Sutta was also sitting in the audience there. And what did Sutta Goswami say? He said that Parikshit, in the first canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, chapter 18, Sutta Goswami said, Parikshit, the great devotee with pure intelligence, attains liberation in the form of the feet of the Lord who possesses a flag marked with Garuda. He attained this through knowledge spoken by Shukadeva. So he didn't attain impersonal liberation, he attained the feet of the Lord. And I have indicated, as quoted above, that Parikshit will attain Prema Bhakti. Devotee does not have any desire for liberation. So finally, I will produce a work including the teachings of Gyan, which will be like Mohini avatar, with different faces for different people, so that the demons will be cheated from drinking the nectar of Bhakti. In teaching about Gyan, I will utter words first with one meaning, and then indicate another meaning smeared with Bhakti Ras to please the devotees. And then, by doing that, I will make all the elements of Gyan that are unfavorable for Bhakti, favorable for Bhakti by including them in Bhakti. And this way, Shukadeva Goswami thought. Wait, Okay. I'm just skipping around because this is such a long quote. If Shukadeva Goswami has already completed the Purana, why do we consider that the first canto and the remainder of the 12th part of the why do we consider that first canto and the remainder of the 12th canto part of the Bhagavatam? Because now Shukadeva Goswami is finished speaking the Bhagavatam. And then Viśvanātha Ṭhākura explains that just as the preliminary and concluding portions of a sacrifice are called the sacrifice, are the introduction to a drama, and the blessings at the end of the drama are part of the drama, so the beginning and concluding parts of the Bhagavatam are also part of the Bhagavatam. And even the Bhagavad Gita, the first part of the Bhagavad Gita, though all 18 chapters of the Gita were not completely spoken by the Lord, they are said to be spoken by him in this statement from the Gita Mahatma. One should recite the Gita. What is the necessity of any other scripture when the Gita emanates from the lotus mouth of the Supreme Lord? Similarly, though the last part of the 12th canto was not spoken by Shukadeva, it is also said to be spoken by him. This is the conclusion. All right, so now we'll continue on. Just looking at the comments. Hopefully the internet's still working well. Yes, bhakti comes from bhakti. Bhakti sanjataya bhaktya. Bhakti sanjataya bhaktya. Yes. All right. Let's just read the first verse so that we've read all the verses in this chapter. Okay. Shishuka uvacha atranu varnyate bhikshnam vishvatma bhagavan hari yasya prasadajo brahma rudra krodha samudbhava. Shukadeva Gosvāmī said, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam describes the Supreme Lord, the soul of the universe, from whose satisfaction Brahma is born, and from whose anger Rudra takes birth. Now verse 2. Tvantu rajan marishyeti pashubuddhim imam jahi na jata prag abhutodya dehavat tvam nankshasi. O king, give up the animal mentality, thinking, I will not die. You have never been born. You were previously not non-existent, and you will not be destroyed in the future like your body. There was never a time when you were non-existent, and you won't be destroyed in the future. Sarartha-darsini. The teachings on Gyan begin. The word tu indicates a different subject. Marishye should be marishyami. Give up the intelligence of animals. Destroy that with discrimination. Tam mopayatam pratiyantu vipra ganga chadevi dhritachittamishe tijo pasrishta kuhakas takshakova dashatvalam gayata vishnugataha. The Brahmanas and Ganga Devi should know that I am surrendered and have dedicated my heart to the Lord. Let the snake released by the Brahmana, even if it is an impostor, bite me. Please sing topics concerning the Lord. That's Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, 1st Canto, Chapter 19, verse 15. Since Parikshit had promised to dedicate himself to hearing Bhagavatam, he cannot be accused of having animal intelligence. Thus, these teachings on Gyan are not meant for Parikshit, but for others who have animal intelligence. Since Parikshit is his disciple, is Shukadeva Goswami's disciple, Shukadeva Goswami addresses him thus, though the address is meant for others. Similarly, Krishna addresses Arjuna in the Gita, though the teachings are meant for all people. The discrimination is described. Your body did not exist previously. Now it exists, and in the future it will be destroyed. But you are not born, and you were not previously non-existent, nor will you die. You are a jivatma, different from the material covering. This jnana is not unfavorable for bhakti. Na bhavishyasi bhutva tvam putra dirupavan bijankura vadehader vyatirikto yathanala. You will not take birth again in the form of your sons and grandsons, like a sprout taking birth from a seed and then generating a new seed. Rather, you are entirely distinct from the material body and its paraphernalia, in the same way that fire is distinct from its fuel. Sarartha-darsini. Though bodies are continually born, the Atma is not born repeatedly. You will not be born as your sons and grandsons. The Shruti says, Angad angat sambhavasi hridayat abhijayase atmavai putranang masi samjiva sharadha shatam. You are born from the limbs. You are born from the heart. You are born as your son's name. Live for 100 years. Like a sprout from a seed, a body takes the form of a child. From the sprout comes another seed, which produces a grandson. But you are not like this, since the Atma is different from the material covering, just as a flame is different from the wood it burns. A body is born from another body, but the Atma is not like this. Swapne yata shiraschedam panchatva dhyatmana swayam yasmat pashyati dehasya tatta atma hyajo mara. In a dream, one can see his own head being cut off and thus understands that his actual self is standing apart from the dream experience. Similarly, while awake, the Atma sees his body, a product of the 5 material elements. Therefore, the Atma is unborn and without death. I remember reading this verse somewhere recently. I can't remember where though. Sarartha-darsini. The difference of the Atma and the body that undergoes birth and death is shown by an example. One cannot actually witness one's head being cut off. Thus, the separate Atma is the seer in this case. In the waking state, a separate being sees the body made of 5 elements. Therefore, the Atma is without birth and without death. I love the gory example. Okay. Ghate bhinne ghatakasha akashasya yata pura evam dehe mrite jivo brahma sampadate puna. When a pot is broken, the portion of sky within the pot becomes the sky element as before. In the same way, when the gross and subtle bodies die, the living entity becomes Brahman as before. Whoa. Let's hear the explanation of this. Sarartha-darsini. When one attains Gyan, the covering of the subtle body that is difficult to destroy is dissolved. An example used by the Ekatmavadis is given. The people who think that everything is one. There's only one soul, not individual souls. When a pot is broken, the ether in the pot becomes part of the great ether as previously, before the pot was made. When the body dies being dissolved by Gyan, when the body dies being dissolved of Gyan, this has another esoteric meaning. The Jiva and Paramatma are both seen functioning in the body. When the subtle body is dissolved, both the Jiva and the Paramatma become liberated. Can we not say this? No, can't say that. Paramatma is free of Paramatma is free of the covering in the 3 aspects of time. An example is given. As the ether exists even at present in the pot, when the pot is broken, it exists uncovered. Since the ether is present inside and outside the pot, how can the pot cover it? That is the meaning. Though the body is present and not dead, Paramatma, Brahma, who is different from the Jiva, who pervades everywhere, the Paramatma remains as before. There's a footnote here. Let's see what it says. Jiva is taken as ajiva by the Sandhi rule. Okay. So this is referring to the Paramatma. Interesting. 1 second, I'm just checking the comments. Okay. Manasrijati vaidehan gunan karmani chatmana tanmana srijate maya tato jivasya sangsriti. The material bodies, qualities, and activities of the Atma are created by the material mind. That mind is itself created by Maya. Because of the upadis, the designations, the Atma assumes material existence. So the Atma assumes material existence. The Atma thinks that I am a cat, I'm a dog, I am an American, I am Chinese, I am a girl, I'm a boy, I'm strong, I'm a weakling. All these upadis. Assumes material existence. Okay. But it's actually created by Maya, which is coming from the mind. Sarartha-darsini. The method of how the covering consisting of the body, made of Maya, is produced is described, in order that it can be destroyed by knowledge. The mind creates the body of the Atma. Yato yato dhavati daivachoditam mano vikaratmakam apyapanchasu guneshu maya rachiteshu dehyaso prapadyamana sahatena jayate. That's from 10th Canto, chapter 1, verse 42. At the time of death, according to the thinking, feeling, and willing of the mind, which is involved in fruitive activities, one receives a particular body. In other words, the body develops according to the activities of the mind. The changes of the body are due to the flickering of the mind, for otherwise the soul could remain in its original spiritual body. And Maya creates the mind. From all these upadhis, are limitations starting with Maya, the samsara of the jiva, the material existence of the jiva takes place. The cycle of birth and death, this samsara chakra, takes place. Snehadishtana vartyagni samyogo yavariyate tavadipasya dipatvam evam deha krito bhava rajasatva tamo vritya jayate tha vinashyati. A flame functions as such only by the combination of its fuel, vessel, wick, and fire. Similarly, samsara is composed of karma, the mind, the body, and consciousness. Samsara related to accepting the body appears and disappears by the actions of rajas, sattva, and tamas. Sarartha-darsini. An example is given. The transformation of light energy into a flame takes place by oil, a vessel, a wick, and application of fire. Oil represents karma. The vessel represents the mind, which is the basis of karma. The wick represents the body, fueled by karma. Fire represents the imposition of consciousness. The lamp represents samsara. Samsara, bhava, related to accepting a body, dehakrita, arises and disappears by the actions of the gunas. One's material existence related to accepting a body arises and disappears by the actions of the gunas. Na tatrat, sorry, let me make that bigger. Na tatratma swayam jyotir no vyakta vyaktayo para akasha iva chadaro dhruvananto pamastata. The Atma is not subject to creation and destruction. It is different from the gross and subtle bodies, since it is self-luminous. Like the ether, it is the support for everything. It is without change, without end, and beyond comparison. Sarartha-darsini. Samsara, like the lamp, should be destroyed, but the Atma, like the light, should not be destroyed. Where does the Atma appear in samsara? The answer is, the Atma is not involved in creation and destruction like the bodies. The Atma is different from the gross and subtle bodies of the jiva, since it is self-luminous and self-revealing. Thus, the basis of the body, which is made of matter, is without change, is dhruva. It has no end, ananta, and nothing can compare to it. Na upama. The hidden meaning is as follows. What is superior to cause and effect is the final cause, Paramatma, instead of Atma or Brahman. Like the ether, it is the basis of everything. Just checking the comments again. Okay, it looks like everything's running okay. Evam atmanam atmastam atmanaivam vamrisha prabho buddhanu managarbhinya vasudevanuchintaya. O king, by constantly meditating upon Vasudeva, by using the mind and intelligence for inferring the soul's existence, you should carefully consider your truth self situated within the material coverings. Sarartha-darsini. Carefully consider by the mind, the atmana. Carefully consider by the mind the soul situated in the upadhis, such as the body, using inferences for the atma's existence through intelligence, as well as meditation on Vasudeva. Oh God, such weird, bad English. Anyways, consider the mind, the soul situated in the upadhis, such as the body, the false designations, such as the body. Consider that the soul is situated in this upadhi of the body, using inferences for the atma's existence through intelligence, as well as meditate. Okay. Chodito vipravakyena natvam takshyati takshaka mrityavo nopadaksyanti mrityunam mrityumishvaram. The snake bird takshak, sent by the curse of the Brahmana, will not burn your true self. Yet takshak will not burn your true self. The agents of death will never burn you. Yes, the agents of death will never burn you, who are capable of killing the servants of death. Sarartha-darsini. Takshak will not burn you, the Atma, which is different from your body. What to speak of takshak, even death personified will not burn you. The esoteric meaning is as follows. You are independent of the body, Ishvaram, since you are liberated from upadhis, from these material self-designations, and you are the destroyer of obstacles to bhakti. Coming to you, the curse of the Brahman and other obstacles to bhakti will be destroyed. Aham Brahma Param Dhama Brahmaham Paramam Padam Evam Samiksha Chatmanam Atmanyadhaya Nishkale Dashantam Takshakam Pare Lelihanam Viśvanātha Nadrakshasi Shariram Cha Vishvam Cha Pritagatmana. I am that Brahman, the supreme state of being. Brahman is I, the supreme position. Considering this, place yourself in the Brahman devoid of upadhis, devoid of material self-conceptions, designations. You will not see takshak biting your foot with fire and poison and licking it with his tongue. You will not see your body or the universe to be separate from Brahman. And there's a footnote here. The esoteric meaning is, I am the worshipper of the Lord. I am a conscious particle of the Lord. I belong to the Lord. Considering this and considering the lotus feet of the Lord, surrender to the Lord. You will not see takshak. You will not see takshak, your body, or the universe separate from the Lord, because of fainting with bliss on seeing Krishna. Sarartha-darsini. In 2 verses, the method of deliberation and the bite of takshak are described. By thinking, I am that Brahman, not a person in samsara, by thinking in this way, one can eliminate lamentation. By thinking, Brahman is I am Brahman. By that thinking, one can eliminate the invisibility of Brahman. In other words, one can attain realization of Brahman. You should place yourself in Brahman, Atmani, free from upadhis, Nishkale. The esoteric meaning is, I am the spiritual particle, the Dhamma of the Supreme Lord who is like the sun. Amar Kosh says that Dhamma means body, house, splendor, and beauty. I am the worshipper of Brahman, Brahma Param. An example of para with this meaning is Narayana Paro Vipra. The Brahmana is a worshipper of Narayan. Brahma Aham means I belong to the Supreme Lord. This is a Tat Purush compound. This is a Tat Purush compound with a possessive meaning. Seeing the lotus feet of the Lord or his Swarup, Paramam Padam, you should surrender yourself to Paramatma, Krishna, who has a Nishka ornament on his chest. What's a Nishka ornament? Is that referring? Nishka is a gold ornament worn on the chest. Okay. You will not see Takshak biting while pressing his two lips and relishing with his tongue with fire combined with poison. You will not see your body bitten by the snake or the universe different from yourself. The other meaning is, you will not see all this because you will be fainting with bliss from directly seeing the lotus feet of Krishna. Etatte katitam tata yadatma prishtavan nripa harer vishatmanascheshtam kim bhuya shrotumichhasi. Beloved King Parikshit, I have narrated to you the topics you originally inquired about, the pastimes of Hari, the soul of the universe. Now, what more do you wish to hear? Sarartha-darsini, I have spoken to you about Gyan, about which you did not inquire. I have previously given the answers to what you, Atma, asked me concerning the pastimes of the Lord. He again asked Parikshit in order to proclaim the perfection of his disciple. Thus ends the commentary on the 5th chapter of the 12th canto of the Bhagavatam for the pleasure of the devotees in accordance with the previous acharyas. Okay, so that concludes the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Parikshit's now done speaking. Sorry, I meant to say Shukadeva Goswami is now done speaking. No more. It's after 3 years. Now we've finally come to the end of Shukadev's narrating the Bhagavatam. And now we'll hear from Sutta Goswami, the passing of Parikshit, tomorrow. Jai Shukadeva Goswami Par ki Jai, Shri Parikshit Mahārāja ki Jai, Shri Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki Jai. All right, so now we have a couple minutes left over. It's too bad I had to leave the temple room because the connection wasn't working there for some reason. So I don't have a mridanga with me. But maybe we can sing one kirtan for Shri Bhagavat Saptaha ki Jai. Yeah, this is the end of the 7 days of Shukadeva Goswami speaking Bhagavatam. Jai ho! Yes. Jai, 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 Jai. So now there's a little bit more time. Oh, it's 4 years. Oh my God. Wow. That's wild. So I think today's an auspicious day to conclude on Śrīvāsa Pandit's disappearance day. And I thought maybe we can sing something about Śrīvāsa Pandit now. What should we sing, the Bengali song or Ashtakam? Let's sing the Bengali song. Sapta Dipta Dvipa Dipta Kori. Let me find it. Dang it. Give me a second, I just have to open it. Where is it? It will be in projects. No, it will be in Vine of Devotion. There it is. Okay. Let me find it. Sapta Dvipa. I think that's all I need. Yeah, there it is. Okay. Illuminating this is written by Premdas. Illuminating the 7 islands of the world, Shri Navadip Puri shines due to the presence of that king among the gods, Shri Vishvambar. There, in the midst of Shri Vishvambar's bhaktas, is the renowned Śrīvāsa Pandit, whose life mission is Shri Krishna Kirtan. All glories to Paṇḍita Ṭhākura. By a speck of his mercy, one can become a recipient of Gaur Prem. All of his pastimes are matchless. Exclusively fixed in the seva of Gauranga, he does not know any demigod or goddess. Along with his 4 brothers, servants, maidservants, he always performs kirtan in various ways, day and night, with Gauranga and his devotees, intoxicated by prem. His wife, Shri Malini Devi, whom Mahaprabhu calls mother, is the crown jewel of all chaste women. Nityananda Prabhu resides in their house, and she loves him as her own son. When she sees Nityananda Prabhu, milk flows from her breasts and tears fall from her eyes. That's so beautiful. Sometimes, knowing Mahaprabhu to be the Supreme Lord, Śrīvāsa Pandit bows down at his lotus feet. But sometimes, he takes the Supreme Lord, Mahaprabhu, he takes him on his lap to nourish him. In order to not interrupt the ecstatic dance of Mahaprabhu, he renounced any expression of sorrow at the death of his son. Hearing of this, the Lord wept. Śrīvāsa Pandit's niece, Narayani, was the voice of the Vaishnava assembly. Her son, Shri Vrindavan, described Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leelas, and thus delivered the 3 worlds. It is in him, Śrīvāsa Pandit, that Premdas keeps his hopes and aspirations. Right, so I'll just sing this, I'll just clap no Mridanga. Let me just see. Saptadvipa dipta kori Shobe Navadvipa Puri Jahe Viśvāmbara Deva Raj Tahe Tara Bhakta Jata Tahate Śrīvāsa Ṭhākura Shri Krishna Kirtana Jai Kaj Jaya Jaya Ṭhākura Paṇḍita Ajar Kripa Lesha Matra Hoya Gaur Prema Patra Anupama Sakala Charita O Jai Jai Ṭhākura Paṇḍita Gaurangir Seva Bine Deva Devi Nahi Jane Chari Bhai Dasa Dasi Loya Satata Kirtana Range Gora Gora Bhakta Shange Aharnishi Prema Mata Hoya Jar Bharya Shri Malini Pativrata Shiromani Jare Prabhu Kohoye Janani Nityananda Rahe Ghare Putra Sama Sneha Kore Stana Jare Netre Bahe Pani Kabu Vaishvara Gyane Nati Kore Shicharane Kabhu Kole Koro Ye Lalana Prabhu Nritya Bhanga Lagi Vritya Putra Shoka Tyagi Shuni Prabhu Koro Ye Rodana Bhratri Sutra Bhratri Sutta Narayani Vaishnava Mandale Dhvani Jar Putra Vrindavana Dasa Varniya Chaitanya Lila Tribhuvanya Tribhuvana Udharila Prema Dasa Kore Jar Asha Prema Das Kore Jar Jaya Śrīvāsa Ṭhākura, Jaya Śrīvāsa Ṭhākura, Śrīvāsa Ṭhākura, Jaya Śrīvāsa Ṭhākura, Jaya Gaura Śrīvāsa, Gaura Śrīvāsa, Gaura Śrīvāsa, Jaya Gaura Śrīvāsa, Jaya Vrindavana Das Ṭhākura, Vrindavana Das, Vrindavana Das Ṭhākura, Vrindavana Das, Jaya Saparshara, Jaya Gaura Hari, Saparshara, Jaya Gaura Hari, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Okay, so on this auspicious day of Śrīvāsa Pandit's disappearance, Śrīvāsa Pandit, who is the great uncle, right? Right? You'd say the great uncle of Vrindavan Das Thakur. We concluded Shukadeva Goswami's narration of the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and now we will be, well, in a few, how many days? I think it's like 19 days from now. We'll be starting a daily reading of Chaitanya Bhagavat. So we pray to Śrīvāsa Ṭhākura and to to Narayani Devi and to Vrindavan Das Thakur that now that we've concluded Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we'll be able to start the Chaitanya Bhagavat, which is also written by well, the internet just went and came back, but everybody's still there. Anyhow, yes, so pray that we'll be able to taste just a drop of this Chaitanya Bhagavat that will start soon. I think it's 19 days from now. Let's see, actually. I can tell you the exact day. It is in 20 days from now, 3rd July, we'll start a daily reading. All right, Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Gandharvika Giridhari Shishi Radha Vinod Vihari Ju Ki Jai, Shri Govinda Gopinath Madan Mohan Ju Ki Jai, Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupa Rashatar Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Narayan Gurudev Ki Jai, Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Vaman Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Rashatar Shishimad Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Nityal Pravishtam Vishnupad Ashatar Shishimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Nugagoriya Guru Varga Ki Jai, Shri Rupa Sanatan Bhatta Raghunath, Shri Jeev Gopal Bhatta Das Raghunath, Sharda Goswami Prabhu Ki Jai, Shri Sarup Damodar Raya Ramanandari, Shri Gaur Parshad Vrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai, Shikshetra Mandal, Gora Mandal, Vraja Mandal, Mathura Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Sarva Abhishrapadata Giriraj Maharaj ki jai, Shri Radha Kund Shama Kund ki jai, Shri Muna Devi Ganga Devi ki jai, Shri Tulsi Maharani Vrinda Devi ki jai, Shri Bhakti Devi ki jai, Shri Purnamasi Yogamaya ki jai, Shri Gopeshwar Mahadev ki jai, Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Shri Shukadev Gosvāmī ki jai, Shri Parikshit Maharaj ki jai, Shri Bhagavat Saptaha ki jai, Shri Sutta Goswami ki jai, all the sages of Naimisharanya ki jai, Shri Krishna Dvaipayan Veda Vyas Dev ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Śrīvāsa Pandit ki jai, Śrīvāsa Ṭhākura ki jai, Tvadir Shubha Tirobha Titi ki jai, Malini Devi ki jai, Śrīvāsa's 4 brothers ki jai, I know, Ramai Pandit, I don't remember the names of the others. All the servants of Śrīvāsa Pandit's house ki jai, Shri Narayani Devi, Śrīvāsa's niece ki jai, Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai, Śrīvāsa Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankir, Śrīvāsa Angan ki jai, Shriman Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Shri Sachinandan Gaur Hari ki jai, Swaparshachi Gaur Nityananda Prabhu ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Vo, Vrindai Tulsi Bai, Priyai Keshavascha, Krishna Bhakti Pradadevi, Satyavatai Namo Namaha, Vancha Kalpatarubhyashta, Kripa Sindhubhyaiva cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo, Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Haribo, Indira Mataji, Rasa Keli, Hare Krishna, Shamapriya Mataji, and Pujamna Prabhu Mantamurti, everybody who's here. Thank you so much for joining. Rukmini Didi, and I'm not going to say everybody's name because there's so many people, but I'll see you all tomorrow to hear about Parikshit Maharaja's leaving this world and all about Takshak and all that. And yeah, we're getting very close to the end. Yeah, Hari Bol, Hare Krishna. Dandavat pranams, everybody. Hare Krishna.